ongoing battle, right? Sometimes like my husband and I look at this conversation and he's like, I didn't do that because I didn't want to spend the money. And I'm like, that's something we need to spend money on. We need to cut back somewhere else, right? Like you kind of almost get this mentality of, I want to be sure I can invest X amount. I want to be sure that I can, retire at this age. And sometimes for me, it's like too much. That's like, okay, you got to check yourself. Like you said, Jen, you also want to live the good life right now. And so, it's really that balance, and then constant communication is what I find. That like my husband and I just have to constantly talk about that. And yeah, you felt that way at the moment in the grocery store, but next time, you won't make that sacrifice that saved you $2 for our investment account, right? Like it didn't really match up. But really just thinking about how your money can make more money for you, right? And so that idea that if you do put money into an investment account or into real estate, into some kind of a place where the money's going to grow, investing, right? That money can work for you. It can make more money while you sleep, right? Rather than trading time for money all the time and then spending it or investing it, right? So really having that long game, I think perspective on your wealth building is important, to also balance it with that constant challenge of how much am I going to spend right now in the life I want to live now? Yes, that trip is really important to me. We also, a big part of our savings goes to travel. That's an important part for us. And so it's little bits over the months to pay for that big trip, right? And so it is a constant like struggle and thing you need to work on. But by the time you're in the wealth building stage, you are pretty financially literate and and it's a part of your life. You have money routines, most likely. It's a part of the way you think and do things, right? And so if your brain is not really thinking about the future yet, there's probably some thinking to do back in some other stages of like, okay, I'm not really ready to control my spending right now for my future. So what do I need to put in place to make that happen so I can start making my money work for itself and build? Because it's all about compound interest, isn't it? It's all about, the everyday adding more and more and more. And the stock market, yes, it goes up and down, but over history, it always goes up, right? And so knowing that, and trusting and believing in investing now will benefit you in the future. But there's just that constant battle, isn't there?
There is. And I wanted to mention that these tools aren't easy. You just have to weigh the math with also what you want in your life. The hardest thing with planning for our money is we don't know how long we'll live. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, investing in your health, as well as investing in your future.
That is a really good point, and we have had this conversation also. So that reminds me of two things, Mary Lee. I remember you saying that every year you choose something to invest in, and this year or last year, this year was your health. And so you were like, you were sort of giving yourself permission to spend in that category as like for the now, but also kind of for your future, right? Planning on your health. And then also, like, we don't know how long we're going to live. And so that, I think, also plays into your decision-making factors and like that kind of enjoy life while we can, but also plan for what if I live until, I was thinking about this the other day. My grandma is 95, you guys. And I was like, what if I live until I'm 95? Like, do we have enough money for two of us to like live until we're 95? And stuff like that can really get your brain thinking in different directions. So that's why I think it's so important to like have, like, sit down and, like Sybil was saying, have the conversations. And if you're a single person, find a friend to kind of talk it out with, because it's a hard thing to sort of talk out with yourself. So just find a friend or a family member and be like, I gotta talk out like my future and what I think is important now, what I want to be important then. And then those decisions about long-term investing, I think, kind of come into they get a little bit clearer when you think about that, right? And like the balance of, and do you guys have percentages? Do you think in terms of percentage, like this percentage goes for now, this percentage goes for my future? We don't have specific percentages, but maybe that would make it easier. I think we kind of do it in the moment, thinking about, oh, this would be a good amount of money to invest in like this property or in our accounts or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if it's quite percentages. I'm sure I could figure out what the percentage is, but we have an allocated amount that we invest into the stock market, into our brokerage account or our IRA or HSA, whichever. We kind of have an order of how we invest, right, across a year. And we definitely automate that. So every single month, as soon as we get, a paycheck, my husband's in this case is the most consistent. It comes on a certain day where mine's more variable. Right after we get that salary payment, the next day it's invested. I learned to do it the next day, not the day of, because of banking issues. The next day we have a certain amount that gets invested every single month. And so that's automated. It goes away. We're paying ourselves first. And then we live on the rest, right? Which is budgeted for our month. And then if we have extra at the end, maybe I brought in a little more income or, different things happen. We spent less or whatever. We also try to invest that into the stock market, or like at this time, we're looking to possibly purchase some real estate. So I would invest that extra instead of into the stock market into a high yield savings account where we're kind of keeping some cash on hand for if the perfect property comes up for us to house hack, then we'll have some of that cash ready to go. We won't have to withdraw it from the brokerage account. So not quite a percentage, but definitely a set amount every single month that automatically comes out first, and then we live and spend the rest.
So I had a similar order of operations when I worked in corporate and had a salary, and I chose 20%. So I had a set percentage because I'm a planner. I did the math and the retirement projections. So I did 20% of my pre-tax salary, and that went into mostly retirement accounts. And this is what I see for people in the wealth building stage is they start to track some different metrics. So savings rate, so the percentage of your income that you're saving is a great one. Tracking your net worth, so it's everything you own less everything that you owe. That's another great one. And there's lots of other metrics. Some people track their income growth. So it gets a little more analytical as well. And that data can help you make different decisions with your finances. So definitely as wealth builders, that's kind of the introduction of some more numbers gets helpful.
I really like to track my net worth. That number feels like good to me, and to watch it and like intentionally, because I do, although it's automated what we're investing, I also want to try to invest a little bit more each month, not every single month, but maybe like quarterly. I might change it up a little bit. If you think about it, if you invest 1% more every month for a year, after a year, you're investing 12% more. Like, that's a lot. And 1% might not feel like a huge amount each month if you do it like that. But that net worth number helps me with investment into real estate as well.
I think this is a good conversation because we're just kind of like sharing different things that we do and ways we think about things. So part of, I think, what moves us from that foundation building stage to the intermediate to wealth building is starting to think like this. Because when I was in the foundation building and probably even in intermediate, I didn't think about building wealth. Wealth was like a word that did not apply to me, would never apply to me. And so I didn't think about like how to live this way, how to think this way, how to plan this way. I was really living in the like day-to-day, paycheck to paycheck, kind of lifestyle, which I think we've talked about this before. a huge percentage of the population is living that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. And they may be listening to us thinking, wealth building, absolutely not. Like, I am not there, excuse me, nor do I think I will ever be there. But maybe starting to think forward into these kinds of conversations in listening to us talk about how we think about investing, how we think about saving our future, how we think about spending. Because I'm sure all of us we've all talked about spending at different times. Sometimes spending feels fine to me. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, we really want this thing and we're going to spend on it. And other times we're like, nope, we got to hold it back. And I think the good stuff comes in that balance, right? And so that's part of what the foundation and the intermediate steps are about, figuring out that balance for you and what that feels like and what you wish you had versus what you do have. And I don't mean what you wish you had, like, as far as stuff and things, but like maybe the freedom to make choices financially, because that's something that I know a lot of people are lacking.
Remember, we'd love to hear from you. Please send us your thoughts and questions, and be sure to like and subscribe our podcast. We're so glad that you're here and have been listening. We look forward to chatting with you more, and we don't want you to miss any episodes. So please follow along and let us know any questions you have as well, because we would love to answer them right here on our podcast. Take care.